On Sunday night, in a quiet part of Jos, gunmen arrived on motorcycles, and within 30 minutes, nearly 30 people were dead. But that was not the real story, because what happened next is what should worry you. Curfews were declared, soldiers deployed, the president himself flew in, and yet the violence did not stop. Attacks spread, tensions exploded, students fled the city. Some governors sent buses to take their students away from the University of Jos. So the question is no longer just who carried out the Angwan Rukuba killings. The real question is Plateau State sliding into another cycle of uncontrolled violence? My name is Rimamnde Shawulu. This is update from the other side. The triggering event occurred on the evening of Sunday, March 29, 2026, in Angwan Rukuba, Gariyawaye, Jos North local government area, near the University of Jos axis. Multiple reports said that gunmen arrived on motorcycles and opened fire on civilians around 8 o'clock to 8:30 p.m. Residents and local officials described the shooting as indiscriminate. Casualty figures immediately diverged. Plateau State Police initially confirmed 12 dead. Later, some reports cited 14, while residents, the governor, and some newspapers, and later the federal level reporting, placed the death toll at roughly between 28 and 30, with many injured. So far, no perpetrator has been officially arrested and conclusively named in the immediate reporting. After the attack, the Plateau State government imposed a 48-hour curfew on Jos, effective from midnight 29th to 1st April, saying that the measure was necessary to prevent further attacks and further breakdown of law and order. Security agencies were said to be pursuing the attackers. Governor Caleb Mutfwang publicly condemned the killings as barbaric and unprovoked.
This incident of last Sunday is a temporary setback. I'm persuaded that by the grace of God, we will overcome that setback and continue on our trajectory to peace and tourism, to peace and prosperity. We want to thank you, Mr. President. Sometimes when these events occur, it's painful to citizens and they think that nothing is being done. But I want to salute our security forces for all the gallant efforts they have been putting in. People only notice the breaches that occur. They never get to know the ones that we prevent. But I can tell you that the security challenge has stared us in the face, but I'm confident that the efforts that have been put in by the security agencies will continue and to improve. Since this event, apart from briefing you, I've also convened a Security Council meeting where we took some very far-reaching decisions that we think, in addition to the support that we are going to get from the armed forces and the Inspector General of Police, that by God's grace, we will win this war against insurgency.
And the following day, on March 30th, security forces moved into the area, and the incident quickly became a national story because it hit an urban, university-adjacent community rather than a remote rural village. Reuters and AIP both framed it as the latest episode in Plateau's long-running cycle of identity-linked and land-linked violence in the Middle Belt. However, there is no evidence to show that the attackers were fighting over land in the area that they attacked. The government relaxed the curfew, allowing movements in Jos from 7:30 to 3:30 p.m. daily after what it described as relative calm. But this did not restore normalcy. That same day, multiple outlets reported fresh tensions, mob attacks, assaults on motorists and passerbys in parts of Jos, including around the University of Jos permanent site, Terminus, Bauchi Road, Gangare area. One man was reportedly hacked to death near the University of Jos permanent site road. Economic activity also sharply slowed down, with banks and businesses shut in affected areas. Between April 1 and 2, because of the deteriorating atmosphere, the University of Jos evacuated students from hostels and suspended residency programs. Outside states began pulling out their students. Reports say Benue State government began evacuating its indigents from the University of Jos, and Bauchi State also evacuated its students. This is a strong indicator that the crisis had moved beyond a single attack into a broader urban emergency affecting civilian life and education. And on April 2nd, police announced arrests linked to the Palm Sunday killings. Reports vary between 5 to 7 suspects, but several outlets say the Nigerian Police Command in Jos arrested a fake soldier and additional suspects around Angwan Rukuba as part of the investigation. Separately, the Inspector General of Police ordered major deployments and also indicated reinforcement of Plateau State with additional personnel and mobile police assets. Still on the 2nd, in a very curious, controversial visit, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu met some victims and family members and stakeholders at the Jos Airport. Of course, the fact that he met them at the Jos Airport, 40 minutes away from the scene of the crisis, and according to reports, spent only 10 minutes with the victims, has created an uproar in the Nigerian political system. People were wondering why the president at all went to Jos if he did not have time to discuss and see for himself the situation around Jos. And the controversy did not end just at the point of the president going to spend 10 minutes in Jos at the airport, several kilometers away from the scene of the crisis, and security agencies and the government having to bus victims and relations far away from their homes and the scenes of attacks, including people who were mourning, to the airport in Jos, where he spent only 10 minutes with them. People are also wondering why the president will announce that he was asking the Plateau State government to set up cameras or provide cameras to monitor the area. Does this mean that the government up to now does not know the cause of the crisis in Jos or around the Middle Belt, or the government is still taken in by its narration, popular with several government officials and even with security agencies, including the former chief of army staff who went to Jos to tell the people that they need to unite? The report says that the government will provide cameras. The question that will come to the mind of many people will be, will these cameras also be extended to the victims and the cities and villages in Borno, Taraba, Zamfara, Sokoto, Niger, Kwara, and Kogi, which are facing similar attacks? This is a question that the visit of the president has ignited. Rather than calm the situation, the visit of the president may just have brought in more controversies.
Please be seated. You have no light at the airport, and I have to fly back within the next 10 minutes. To you leaders, I've had this. To the victim, there is nothing I can give you, whether money in billions, but console you and promise you that this experience will not repeat itself. It's for just to be just, the one that people like us grew up to know. Please have your seat. I salute all of you leaders. But I've had the experiences of the past. Why is the past not a source of lesson for us? I've listened to Jang. I've listened to Washington. I've listened to Nachawu. I've listened to the governor. Governor, you and I were elected on a promise of peace and prosperity, not to comfort and create widows and widowers. To bring prosperity as a promise. Thank you, Bosun Tijani, the Honorable Minister, for communication. Is here to give you assurance we are going to install immediately a network of cameras that will help the law enforcement agencies to identify the troublemakers instantly. Over 5,000 job network, but soon you can use some time and give the assurance, because the time is flying. If I keep talking, we will miss our way, and you don't have accommodation for us. Thank you.
And then still on the night that the president visited the area, fresh attacks were again reported outside the original Angwan Rukuba scene. One set of reports said gunmen attacked Ban community in Haipang near the airport where the president visited after the president had left at 11 p.m., as if the killers or attackers were daring the president. At least one person was killed and several other people were injured. One injured victim died in the hospital, according to some accounts. Another report says that suspected attackers from the Rankum Mahanga area struck Jol community in Riom, not far from the airport where the president visited, in the early hours of Friday, killing one person. These reports taken together indicate that the violence that has been afflicting the rural parts of Plateau are beginning to come back into the city of Jos and the communities around Jos. And in any case, it will be recalled by watchers of the situation on the plateau that even around Rukuba barracks, bandits, killers have been tormenting communities who are just a stone's throw or earshot away from the headquarters of the 3rd Armored Division in Jos. And still on Good Friday, police said that 12 people had been arrested over an alleged plot to incite further arrest in Plateau. Even if distinct from the original shooters, that development suggests security agencies believe that the post-attack environment is vulnerable to organized retaliation, mobilization, or rumor-driven unrests.
Living in a global village, let me use a very popular cliche. I mean, the world knows our situation, which is the reason why those who really are concerned about what's going on in this country. Look, there are attempts by interests to take over huge territory, part of Nigeria, part of Chad, part of Cameroon, part of Niger, and turn it into the global headquarters of terror. Those in intelligence circles know this. I'm saying this publicly now. A lot of people know this. We must never allow that kind of thing to happen. We don't want to live under ISWA. We don't want to live under Boko Haram. We don't want to live under Lokarawa. We don't want to live under...
To be clear, the government response has followed the usual pattern of simply looking at this as an emergency problem. The curfew is imposed, mobility is restricted, police presence is increased, After a few hours, everything goes back to normal, and the ban on motorcycle in Greater Jos is still in force, but the root cause of the problem are not actually tackled. And this is why, despite the curfew, arrests, and federal attention, fresh violence is reported to be occurring in the area. And what is the implication of all this? The Angwan Rukuba killings bear several markers of a planned armed raid rather than a purely spontaneous clash. Indeed, the retaliation and the clashes appear to be forming after the attack. Attackers reportedly arrived on motorcycles, struck at night, fired indiscriminately, and withdrew. That pattern looks more like an organized, punitive terror-style attack than a street dispute that escalated, and it bears resemblance to the manner Boko Haram, ISWAP, and the Al-Qaeda that has been using kidnappers in the northwestern part of Nigeria. And finally, to be clear, Plateau State has been the scene of violence, but it does appear that the violence that we may be having in Plateau State here now may actually be very different from the violence that had been in Plateau in the past. It does appear, as some analysts think, that Al-Qaeda and the groups that want to set up a caliphate in Nigeria may be working on the fault lines and the crisis along Nigeria's fault lines, the divisions along religious and ethnic lines, to create a situation where they will be able to attack and subdue many communities. Already, the Plateau State government in the past had said that over 63 communities are in the hands of outlaws and terrorists, and not much has been done to bring those people to book or to retrieve those communities from the bandits or from the terrorists. And members of those communities are still living among relations or in schools in communities that may be barely safe. My name again is Rimamnde Shawulu. This is your update from the other side. Take a few minutes to click on that button and join our channel. And if you want to support our channel, the best way to do it now is just to click on that subscribe button and the notification button, which will enable you to get any of our contents once it is published. But if you want to support our channel and the work that we are doing, it will be good for you to click on that join button and join our channel for exclusive materials and documentaries that are not publicly available.